From kindergarten, Justin and I had never gone more than 3 days without seeing each other. But ever since our families decided to have us engaged, he avoided me for a whole year. He blocked all of my contacts. The security at his company said that unauthorized personnel and Selena were not allowed. Whenever I appeared within his line of sight, he immediately turned and left. Later, even his friends couldn't stand it anymore, and secretly brought me to see Justin. When I arrived, Justin's cold voice came from the crack of the room door. Just a little thing that comes running whenever I call. No ability, no personality. Even getting engaged to her makes me feel degraded. Chapter 01. I held onto the doorknob and didn't push the door further. Eric, standing behind me, quickly covered my ears. Sis, don't listen to Justin's nonsense. He's just drunk and not thinking straight. I'll go in and yell at him. With that, he wanted to push the door open. I tugged on Eric's sleeve and shook my head. All along, I just wanted to ask Justin why he resisted the engagement so much, even to the point of making it known throughout the upper-class circle. I have called him brother for almost 17 years, but he's not really my brother. Since he's going to get married, why can't it be me? Now, I finally know the answer. It's not because I'm not good enough, and it's not because I'm not pretty enough. To him, I've always been just a little pet he raised. A toy? Something to pass the time? Or maybe just something nice to look at by his side. Eric wiped my tears with a cloth while muttering, "What are they talking about in there? None of them are reliable." "It's okay, Eric." I took a deep breath. "Can you take me home? I don't want to look for him anymore." "All right." "Hey." Just as we were about to turn and leave, the room door opened from inside. We froze and looked face to face with Ethan, who had opened the door. Ethan, still unaware of the situation, grabbed my arm and pulled me inside. This drinking session was supposed to be everyone's chance to persuade Justin to reconcile with me. Ethan pulled me to sit across from Justin. "Justin, even if it's to go against your family, you shouldn't treat Selena like this. Selena is also someone we all grew up with. Talk to her properly. Don't let your harsh words lead to any misunderstandings." From the moment I entered the room, Justin hadn't looked up, but the back of the hand holding his glass was already showing veins. Eric followed me in, giving Ethan a signal to stop. Before Eric could pull me up, Justin finally spoke. "Selena, why don't you ever listen to me? Didn't I tell you before that until my grandpa and parents changed their minds, we shouldn't see each other? Why are you so stubborn?" I kept my head down, not knowing what to say. The atmosphere in the room turned heavy. The last time Justin was this angry was when a senior he was close to confessed to me. Eric sighed, walked over, and patted my head. Then he motioned for the guys in the room to leave, giving Justin and me space to talk alone. Chapter 02. Justin took a sip of his drink in frustration. "Sis, can you have a little self-respect? I've told you I have no interest in you. I've never seen you as a woman. Instead of clinging to me all the time, could you work on improving yourself? All you do is revolve around men every day. Are you shameless? When I fully take over the company and have to travel for meetings, I can't always take you along." It felt like I had fallen into the depths of an icy sea, my whole body numb, unable to find the strength to speak. So this is how he saw me all these years. "So just stay away from me obediently. Grandpa will probably give up on the engagement soon." "I understand. You won't ask Eric and the others to find me anymore?" "I won't." Memories flashed through my mind like a revolving lantern. I used to think of these memories as my most precious treasures. Now, I see how ridiculous I was. I had ignored Justin's growing impatience with me since high school, ignored his open disdain for the way I dressed, ignored how, when he found out that his senior had confessed to me, he instinctively said, "Someone actually likes her?" I looked up seriously at Justin. "Justin, I'm really grateful that you saved me when I was young. From now on, I'll learn my lesson and never bother you again." With that, I stood up and left without looking back. Chapter 03. I returned to the villa and turned on the lights. The entire villa was still as empty as ever. My parents were never home, and Grandpa lived in the mountains, cultivating peace of mind. Justin's mom said that from the time I was born, there was only a nanny to take care of me. When I was 3, one day, The nanny went out to buy groceries without locking the door. I ran out of the villa and fell in the middle of the road. Justin, who was playing in the yard, happened to hear my cries and took me back to his house. For the next decade or so, I grew up slowly following behind Justin. I followed him to the same elementary school, middle school, and even university. When I was bullied for being withdrawn, it was Justin who stood up for me. He taught me how to protect myself. All in all, Justin has been in my life far more than my so-called parents ever have. I relied on him too much. So when he first started avoiding me, I panicked and searched for him everywhere, feeling like my entire world had gone empty. A year is not that long, but it was harder to endure than the previous decade. I sat in front of my computer, staring blankly at the email confirming my acceptance into the exchange program. My psychologist said I should change my environment and develop new hobbies to divert my attention. I originally wanted to tell Justin. Thinking of this, I gave myself a bitter smile. He probably couldn't wait for me to stay as far away from him as possible. When I left, I only sent a text message to my parents, even though they wouldn't really care. Landing in Italy, I managed to complete all the procedures and rent a place. Though clumsily, it wasn't as hard as I imagined. During the waiting period before school started, I traveled around several nearby cities for inspiration. Just like my psychologist said, going out for a walk does indeed change your mindset. Habits change too. After being robbed 3 times and harassed countless times, I decided to learn self-defense. No one would protect me from now on. I had to learn to protect myself. Chapter 04. 2 months after school started, I suddenly received a call from Eric. Selena, why didn't you tell us you were going abroad? We only found out after running into one of your classmates. Yeah, I just went abroad to study and clear my mind for a while. I'll be back in a few months. Don't worry. How's your life there? Is your place safe? Everything is fine. Very safe. That's good. Do you want to let Justin know? He has some friends there. No need. I'm doing well. No need to trouble anyone. All right then. If there's anything, make sure to contact me, or Justin, in the office. Eric pressed the button to hang up after hearing the call disconnect. She's grown a backbone. Justin was spinning a lighter, his face gloomy. But Justin, you were the one who told her not to contact you. Eric lounged on the sofa, looking at Selena's exchange program application form. Not contacting me doesn't mean you can't call or text. Oh my goodness. Look at your blacklist. You said you wanted to make it convincing, and then blocked her with a snap. How could she possibly tell you anything? If it were me, I wouldn't bother with you either. Eric rolled his eyes. He was Justin's childhood friend, and he had watched Selena grow up as well. He knew, more or less, about Selena's family situation. Her father didn't care, and her mother didn't love her. She didn't talk much, and only clung to Justin. But Justin had no romantic feelings for her. Now that she was far away, he obviously felt uneasy, but he wouldn't admit it. This whole situation, let them fuss around as much as they want. After Eric left, Justin rubbed his temples. There was an unsettled feeling in his chest. It was even more troubling than seeing all those portraits of himself in Selena's art studio back then. The grandfathers of both families had pressured him into getting engaged to Selena. Selena had just started her junior year in college. What could such a naive kid, who had never been in a relationship, possibly understand? Justin swiped across his phone screen. After hesitating for a while, he took the contact sis off the blacklist. He then called his secretary, Lily, through the intercom. Boss, you called for me? Selena ran off abroad on her own. The corners of Lily's lips lifted, but she quickly suppressed the expression. This shows that my suggestion of a strict approach worked. Miss Selena never had proper guidance growing up, and no one corrected her when she did something wrong. She's a junior in college and still revolves around you all day. What future does she have like that? A girl without any sense of self. You have to say harsh things to her for her to develop a backbone and become independent. Lily smiled as she explained. And besides, Miss Selena going abroad doesn't necessarily mean she's making progress. Maybe she's just playing hard to get. Like in those romance novels. I'm a woman too. I understand these little tricks. To correct this kind of emotionally dependent mindset, You must keep a proper distance. Justin seemed thoughtful, but she has never been away on her own before. She's a junior in college. What can't she handle? When I graduated high school, I was even younger than she is now, and I went to a completely unfamiliar city for university. There are no such difficulties. Girls don't need to be so pampered. Justin reconsidered and realized there was some truth to it. Maybe Selena had met too few men and had confused familial affection for love. She needed to go out and face the world on her own. He instructed Lily to cancel the plane ticket he had just booked, then turned back to deal with company matters. Chapter 05. Bang, bang, bang. Perfetto! I nodded towards the coach, put down the M1, and rubbed my wrist. My shooting score had improved significantly compared to last time. I silently packed up my things, letting my mind go blank. I still had a combat class in the afternoon and had to get back early in the evening. Otherwise, I'd run into that annoying neighbor again. Just as I reached the entrance, a tall Asian man approached. I lowered my head and stepped aside silently, but the man walked straight up to me and stopped. "Excuse me, are you Miss Selena?" He spoke fluent Mandarin. "Yes. And you are?" I looked up curiously. The man in front of me wore a tailored suit, standing at almost 6'3", exuding a sense of authority. But the moment we made eye contact, that sense of intimidation disappeared. His eyes were deep blue. "My name is Kevin, and I'm a friend of Justin's." "Oh, hello. Justin told me that you came here to study alone, and he's a bit worried. He asked me to look after you. The apartment you're staying in isn't very safe. I've arranged another place for you." "Miss Selena, would you like to move? You can call Justin." Kevin made a gesture, inviting me to follow him, and we went to the coffee shop next door. He took out his phone and made a call. After some small talk, he handed the phone to me courteously. "Selena." "Yes." "Kevin is from a family that does some business with mine. He'll arrange your accommodation, and you can ask him about any matters of daily life." I steadied myself as I listened to that familiar voice. It felt like before Justin had started avoiding me. Maybe it was time. Maybe it was the distance. Or maybe it was a year of separation taking its effect. I wasn't as sad as I thought I'd be. "Okay. I understand. Thank you." There was a brief pause on the other end before Justin spoke again. "But don't cling to him like a spineless person. Learn to be independent. Make some progress. Understand?" "Got it." After hanging up, I handed the phone back to Kevin with both hands. I obediently followed him to the car. Since they were partners, Justin must have given Kevin something in return. Being abroad, for the sake of my own safety, I wouldn't stubbornly refuse the arrangement. Chapter 06. In the car, Kevin directly called someone to have my luggage packed. Then he took me out for Chinese food. An hour later, the driver drove the car straight into an estate. "Miss, please." "Thank you." As soon as I got out of the car, I saw the butler and a few maids waiting. Kevin gestured for me to follow him inside. "You don't need to call me sir. Before I went abroad, you were 7. We met a few times at Justin's house." I looked up at him, puzzled, meeting his gaze. "Back then, you were playing hide-and-seek with Justin and bumped into my leg. You fell down and started crying." Kevin recalled. Selena had left quite an impression on him back then. He had gone to Justin's house with his father. Just as they entered, a little bundle of fluff bumped into him. At that age, most kids would cry loudly after getting hurt, but little Selena just sat on the ground, touching her nose, blinking, and letting her tears fall. Before he could comfort her, the little fluff ball wiped her own tears. She muttered to herself, "Selena doesn't hurt. Be good," then stood up and ran off. Judging by the information his assistant had given him that morning, she probably had no one to comfort her even when it hurt. Back then, Justin was only a 9-year-old kid himself, and Justin's parents didn't have time to look after the neighbor's child. Kevin remembered thinking at the time, if no one wanted this child, he might as well take her abroad and raise her himself. He didn't expect that after more than 10 years, he would be fulfilling that thought from back then. Chapter 07. Without realizing it, we had reached the second floor. In a room to the right of the stairs, there was a man and 2 or 3 maids packing my luggage. The man looked up when he saw us and greeted. boss. Miss Selena, boss. Weren't we supposed to go to the southern apartment? Why did we switch to your estate? Hearing this, I also looked up at Kevin. The tall man rubbed his nose. Oh, my cousin is coming to stay there soon, so I had to settle Miss Selena here first. Oh, all right. The following days passed very peacefully. Kevin even cleared a small studio for me in his study on the 3rd floor. When I didn't have classes, I would paint in the studio. Kevin often worked in the study as well. Sometimes he would sit next to me, watching me paint, joking that he wanted to collect the works of a future master. When he learned I was learning shooting and combat skills, he even volunteered to be my coach. Noticing that my clothes were mostly simple, athletic styles, he had a luxury brand send over a bunch of well-coordinated outfits. He had a great eye. I hadn't realized that I could look this pretty. I thought my life would always remain this peaceful. Until one day, I noticed a different atmosphere in the estate. The butler knocked on my door. Miss Selena, the estate is going to undergo a major cleaning. You'll need to stay in a hotel for a few days. Up to a week. The driver and maids will go with you, so it won't affect your daily habits. I traced the door frame with my fingertip, hesitated for a moment, but couldn't help asking, is Kevin going to the hotel too? This situation, my heart sank, feeling inexplicably familiar. Even Kevin was tired of me, even though I'd only stayed here for 3 months. Sir, he has a business trip. He will come back and personally bring you back. I clenched my fist, suppressing the bitterness rising in my heart, and agreed. All right. When do we leave? We can leave now. I said I'd change my clothes and then closed the door. I let out a self-deprecating smile. It's nothing. It's not the first time. Thinking about these 3 months with Kevin, sometimes I had the illusion of meeting a kindred spirit. Some of his compulsive little habits, along with how he interpreted my paintings. Forget it. Maybe he really has something urgent. I slung a backpack over my shoulder and went downstairs. Almost all the maids in the estate were gone, leaving only the butler and the driver at the entrance waiting for me. Suddenly, my imagination ran wild. Could it be that Kevin went bankrupt? I couldn't help myself and ended up choking on my own saliva. I gestured to the butler, then turned and ran to the kitchen to get water. Even now, I wasn't entirely familiar with the estate. It wasn't exactly huge, but it wasn't small either. After drinking water, I passed by a room with the door slightly ajar. From inside, I heard the faint sound of glass breaking. Wasn't everyone supposed to be gone? Could it be Kevin's pet cat or dog? It couldn't be a person, could it? Curiosity killed the cat. I went back to the kitchen, grabbed a knife, and returned to push open the slightly ajar door. Behind the door was a staircase leading down. Was this a basement? The light by the stairs was on, and the walls were adorned with various beautiful murals. Holding a phone in one hand and a knife in the other, I slowly descended. There was another door at the bottom, beautifully crafted. I thought about stopping there. What if there was danger? I was about to leave when I heard a familiar voice. Although it was just a muffled groan, I recognized it. It was Kevin's voice. I turned around and opened the door. The person sitting slumped on the floor really was him. Chapter 08. There were shattered wine bottles on the ground, and Kevin's right hand was gripping a piece of glass. His left hand was a bloody mess from pounding on the wall. I hesitated between closing the door and running away or letting my empathy get the better of me and going in. I chose to stay by the door and call out to him, cowardly, but not entirely. Kevin? Are you all right? Kevin's body, sitting on the ground, suddenly stiffened, muscles tensed. He seemed surprised that someone was talking to him. He turned to look at me at the doorway. Selena? How did you find this place? Didn't the butler take you away? Kevin pulled off his usual gentle smile, though his left hand was trembling. I hesitated for a few minutes, regretting calling out to him. I'll leave now, so I don't disturb you. Don't forget to take care of your hand. I was just about to close the door when I faintly heard the man whispering. Don't go. Huh? I won't hurt you. Don't be afraid. I just had a nightmare and can't sleep, and I'm a little scared. Selena, could you stay with me for a while? I left the basement and saw the butler still at the entrance. Miss Selena, what do you plan to do? I'll take care of him. Kevin must have called you just now. Sigh, all right. Miss Selena, the sir doesn't have any serious problems. It's just that it's close to his mother's death anniversary. He has some psychological shadows. I see. I took the medical kit and went back to the basement. I helped him onto the bed in the basement and bandaged his wounds. Aren't you going to ask? No, but if you want to tell me, I'll listen. There's nothing much to say. All right. Kevin couldn't sleep, so I stayed with him reading books. Anyway, I often had insomnia too. Sometimes we watched movies on a tablet together. Until 3 days later, Kevin returned to his usual self and pulled me out of the basement. The maids and butler in the estate acted like nothing had happened. However, between Kevin and me, there was now a subtle bond. Chapter 09. Selena, could you do me a favor? I had just finished my final project in the studio on the 3rd floor. I turned around to see Kevin sitting beside me, a smile tugging at his lips. Of course. Kevin raised an eyebrow. I haven't even said what kind of favor. Given your financial power and status, there's nothing I could help you get. I hardly have any social circle, so it's not for connections. So it must be something about me that's useful. Like painting? Or maybe you need me to accompany you to an event? I shrugged. Most likely. He wanted me to be his date for some event. Smart guess. I'd like to invite you to my Aunt Sandra's dinner party. My aunt loves to introduce me to noble ladies she knows. Every time. It's very hard for me to escape from her. In previous years, I didn't have any lady close enough to me. But now that you're here, I agreed without hesitation. Although I didn't have much guidance growing up, I was never short on money or material things. So I found people to teach me whatever I needed to learn. That morning, Kevin personally brought a dress to my room. It was a custom-made Marchesa gown. The dress was a dreamy pink, intricately designed, with multiple layers of tulle creating a voluminous skirt. The bodice was adorned with flowers, making it both elegant and playful. After changing, the stylist did my hair and makeup to match the dress. I stood on the 2nd floor, holding up my skirt, hearing the sound. Kevin looked up from the sofa. When he saw me, his deep blue eyes widened, showing undisguised amazement. He quickly came up the stairs. He stopped 1 step below me. He gave a gentlemanly bow, then extended his hand. Would this beautiful princess care to accompany me to the banquet? I couldn't help but laugh. It was just so childish. I placed my hand in his. Just as I was about to go downstairs, I noticed the man before me hadn't moved. Puzzled, I looked up at him, silently questioning. Selena, this is the first time you've smiled since coming here. Do you know why I chose this dress for you? I shook my head. Don't let yourself wither because of someone who can't see properly. You're already beautiful, both inside and out. Chapter 10. The dinner party went very smoothly. Lady Sandra seemed to like me a lot, and none of the so-called noble ladies Kevin mentioned showed up by his side. After the opening dance, Kevin invited me to the dance floor. Kevin, it seems your charm isn't enough. You said I was supposed to be a shield, but it feels like it didn't work. Kevin looked down. It's because you outshined everyone. I looked up, meeting his deep, profound gaze. Deep blue, serene, yet with something hidden beneath. These past few months, I had actually noticed that he treated me differently. It wasn't pity. It wasn't politeness, nor was it affection for a junior. It was acceptance, adoration, and appreciation. I don't know if this sounds a bit cliché, but it's the best metaphor to express my thoughts. Kevin's voice was low, as elegant and rich as a cello. I want to be a gardener, nurturing a flower until it blooms, and then spend the rest of my life admiring and cherishing that beauty until the very end. I felt his hand at my waist tighten suddenly, pulling me into his arms. Sorry, I lost control for a moment. Kevin apologized verbally, but the strength with which he held me didn't loosen at all. Did you leave school before finishing your language classes and go abroad? Your confession speech is really cliché. I complained, but I understood what he meant. As the song ended, I broke free from his hold, but Kevin didn't play by the rules. I had barely taken 2 steps when he grabbed my arm and swept me up in his arms. The people around us all gasped. He carried me out of Aunt Sandra's estate, walked straight to the car, got in, and ordered the driver to leave. Chapter 11. The whole ride back. We didn't say a word. Back at Kevin's estate, he carried me out of the car again. His actions were gentle yet left no room for rejection. He carried me through the front hall, only putting me down in the middle of the garden. Selena, you didn't refuse me. Kevin finally tore off his mask of gentleness. A man who fought his way to build a business empire abroad, how could he truly be a gentle knight? What do you like about me? I stared into his eyes. Everything. From the first time I saw you at the shooting club, I watched you from outside for a long time. You looked so fragile, like you could be crushed with one hand. Yet there was a fierceness that drew me in. Neglected, insecure, trusting no one, yet able to paint such pure works. Everything about you fits my taste perfectly. The nanny who used to feed you sleeping pills and beat you at the slightest provocation fell and became comatose. The girls gossiping about you around Justin were anonymously threatened. The neighbor downstairs who used to harass you, he was suffocated with a trash bag by you and had his groin kicked until it burst. You're clearly a little leopard. Yet you disguise yourself as a harmless little rabbit so seamlessly. I swatted away his hand that tried to touch my face. TSK. This obsession really made him look like a maniac. So what? I looked at this wolf finally showing his fangs. In the basement. You stayed with me for 3 days. At that time, I thought, how wonderful it would be if you could always stay by my side. Kevin's hand moved to my cheek, then slowly slid down to clasp my neck, squeezing just slightly. It was as if my life was in his hands, dominant and obsessive. Be my other half. I can be your family, your friend, your lover, everything you want me to be, and give you all of my love. And I'll belong entirely to you, my wealth, my family, my body, my soul, my life. At that moment, time seemed to stop. I was tempted by the words all of my love. I heard my own voice say, okay. I was then pulled into the embrace that seemed to control my entire world. A domineering, urgent kiss landed. It was as if he was giving me oxygen, or as if he wanted to devour my entire soul. Chapter 12. The next day, I was awakened by the ringing of a phone. My phone had been on silent for years, and since I arrived here, I hadn't given my number to anyone except Kevin. The ringing annoyed me. Just as I was about to get up and throw the phone, a hand touched my face, slowly soothing me, making me release the bite on my lower lip. Kevin's voice came from beside me. It's okay. It's my phone. Be good. With that, he picked up the phone and glanced at the screen. He neither answered nor hung up. I looked up from where I lay against Kevin's chest. He raised an eyebrow with amusement. It's Justin. Do you want to answer? He lowered his head and kissed me gently. Give it to me. I rolled my eyes. So childish. Kevin. Kevin, I heard you took Selena to a ball yesterday. Thanks for taking care of her. Selena isn't really used to events like that. I hope she didn't cause you any trouble. I coughed. I didn't cause Kevin any trouble. I was very well behaved. So well behaved that it ended up with us in the same bed. I internally chastised myself for being so easily swayed by Kevin yesterday. Selena? Yeah. Since it was you calling. Kevin handed me the phone. Keeping up the habit of getting up early is good. Keep it up. Justin probably thought we were already up for breakfast. I didn't bother to explain. All right, Justin. We exchanged a few meaningless words, and Justin ended the call. Chapter 13. Justin stood on the golf course with a few friends. One of them was looking smug. See, I told you. Yesterday, my sister attended Lady Sandra's dinner party and recognized Selena at first sight. Justin looked at the phone call log. His expression unreadable. Are there photos? Yeah. My sister sent them to me. How come Selena never dressed that beautifully back home? Is it because you, as her brother, didn't allow it? The friend continued to joke obliviously. After a few awkward chuckles, he finally noticed the tense atmosphere. Let me see the photos. Justin's voice turned completely cold. Oh, all right. As soon as he pulled up the conversation, Justin snatched the phone. More than a dozen photos. There were photos of Selena and Kevin walking arm in arm, the two dancing together in the ballroom, and Kevin carrying Selena out in his arms. The young lady also sent a few messages. Little brother, Don't you think these two are definitely together now? Mom told me to try getting to know Kevin, but turns out he's already taken. To be honest, this girl is really pretty. Justin, you must be a true gentleman to stay calm around her. Justin's face grew darker and darker. Hey, Justin, be gentle with my phone. It's going to get bent. His friend chirped in a panic, trying to save his phone. Eric also saw the photos and sighed, trying to comfort Justin. Selena looks really good in an evening gown, and she's even willing to attend events now. At least that's progress. Progress. Ha. Justin swatted away Eric's hand on his shoulder, gritting his teeth. Kevin. Chapter 14. After getting together with Kevin, it suddenly felt like the whole world had changed. The day after we confirmed our relationship, Kevin handed me property transfer documents. All the real estate in his name, including the estate we lived in, my name was now on it. And most of his companies, both overseas and in this country, had been transferred to me. Are you insane? In the study, Kevin was sitting on his office chair, while I sat on his lap, flipping through the thick stack of property transfer documents. No, what if I hadn't agreed to be with you? We're not even married yet. What if I just take the money and run? I turned to look at the man behind me, who had a doting smile on his face. Yeah, I am insane. A big crazy man and a little crazy woman, perfect match. And also, darling, your surprised face looks like a little kitten. So adorable. I'm wondering what else I could give you. I quickly covered his mouth. Ugh, an older man being romantic was really mushy. Well, I chose him, so I'll just take care of him. Selena, from now on, this is our home. Kevin buried his head into my neck. I looked at the sunlight spilling into the study, the air filled with a sweet scent. I took a deep breath, letting that sweetness fill my chest. All right, I had never felt this happy before. We have a home. Chapter 15. While we were still immersed in the happiness of our little world, my phone suddenly rang. Since the last time Kevin found out I had ringtone anxiety, he changed all my ringtones to recordings of him humming songs. To be honest, Kevin's voice had a very calming effect on me. I picked up my phone and saw it was a WeChat call. The caller was Mother. It's all right. Answer it. Kevin kissed my ear from behind. I steadied myself and answered the call. Selena, when are you coming back home? In 5 months. Justin's grandfather is hosting a birthday party next week. Come back and attend. Okay. Did you have a fight with Justin? No. Then don't bother me with these trivial things again. Understood. I looked at the phone after the call ended, lost in thought. Kevin. Yes? I think I'm not sad anymore. I don't even care why she hates me. Kevin turned me to face him. He stroked my hair, then kissed my forehead. Good girl. I touched my forehead. The tears began to fall uncontrollably. I buried myself into his arms, crying my heart out. Let it all out. Cry as much as you need to. You won't have to suffer anymore. Chapter 16. Kevin and I returned the day before Justin's grandfather's birthday. I brought him to stay at my family's villa. Kevin sulked all night after seeing the paintings in my studio. I had to promise to paint more of him to make him happy again. When Kevin and I arrived at the banquet hall, most of the guests were already there. Before I could meet Justin's family, Kevin was immediately surrounded by people exchanging pleasantries. I sneaked away from the crowd. I found a quiet corner and enjoyed some mini cakes. Miss Justin? I looked up, and there was Lily, wearing a white strapless gown, the woman I disliked more than anyone else. Lily pretended not to see me rolling my eyes at her and sat beside me. Miss Selena, you've returned. I thought you'd have some backbone and not pester Justin anymore. Lily swirled her wine, quietly expressing her malice. Girls should have some dignity, not cling to Justin like a sticky plaster. You don't know how much Justin's mom despises you, an unwanted orphan. Mentioning an engagement was just for the sake of your grandfather. At most, you're just a joke for entertainment. I'm the woman who deserves to stand beside Justin, with that seductive look. I bet you dream about being Justin's little sweetheart. Don't you? I looked down at the cake in my hand. I lost my appetite. Lily knew I had severe psychological issues. She had provoked me before with her passive-aggressive remarks. Back then, Due to my extreme insecurity caused by Justin's distancing, her provocations always succeeded. This time, her true colors finally showed. I felt disgusted enough to want to hit her, but I couldn't ruin Grandpa's birthday party. I got up, intending to put some distance between us. I'd just pretend it was a dog barking, but she grabbed my wrist and shoved me. Oh no! The wine in her hand spilled all over her dress. Miss Selena, I have no improper intentions toward Justin. You don't need to be hostile to every woman around him. Lily raised her voice, attracting the attention of most people in the hall. I had a feeling and turned around. Sure enough, Justin was just helping Grandpa out of the room. His mother followed behind them. Selena, what are you causing trouble for now? Justin frowned, glancing at Lily's stained dress and questioning me. His mother also spoke disapprovingly. Selena, today is your grandfather's birthday. You're not even Justin's fiancé yet. You can't be acting like this. What did I teach you before? Jealousy without regard for the occasion is just petty. Grandpa also frowned, tapping his cane on the floor several times. Girl, you need to go back and reflect on your actions. I'll have to discipline you on behalf of your grandfather. Chapter 17. What? What is happening here? Are they performing a soap opera? The plot is so cliché that even brainless short dramas wouldn't bother filming it. I was stunned by what they were saying. Selena! Kevin was the first to rush over from the other side of the hall. The man frowned, his face dark and menacing. I quickly grabbed his hand and gave it a little shake. It's all right. I'll handle it myself. Lily walked over to stand behind Justin, looking pitiful, and Justin's mother held her hand, patting it in comfort. When you're at a loss for words, you really can't help but laugh. I ignored their accusations. Calmly, I took out the recorder from my handbag, turned it on, and raised the volume to the maximum. You don't know how much Justin's mom despises you, an unwanted orphan. I'm the woman who deserves to stand beside Justin, with that seductive look. Don't pretend to be noble here. Do you believe just one glass of wine would be enough to make you leave? Suddenly, the banquet hall was so silent that you could hear a pin drop. The expressions of the onlookers changed from curiosity to disdain. Justin's family members' faces looked like a painter's palette, vivid and colorful. Lily, on the other hand, turned pale, slowly letting go of Justin's mother's hand. Pfft! Someone laughed. The people around began whispering, "Such a mean-spirited family. I wonder how many times they've bullied that poor girl. Didn't they say it was Justin's family who proposed the engagement? Probably thought Selena's family background was good and that they could manipulate her." Indeed, Selena's family is well known in the academic world, but they're so blatantly bullying her because her parents are always away on archaeological research. But that young girl is really beautiful and quite clever. You know, I'd like to bring her into my family as my daughter-in-law. I put on a professional smile and turned off the recorder. Seriously, I've been bullied since I was a child, so my guard is always up. A recorder is a daily necessity for me. Oh, right, to commemorate Grandpa's birthday, I also brought a micro camera. I took off the brooch on my dress. Shall we watch the video as well? I tilted my head, blinking innocently. Ahem, ahem. Just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Justin, what's with this Lily you brought? Did she come to ruin my birthday party? Grandpa swung his cane and hit Justin's leg. Justin's mother came over to take my hand. Oh dear. It's my fault. I was too anxious. Afraid Selena might have picked up some bad habits abroad. Auntie here has long regarded you as her own daughter. It's because I care so deeply that I scold you. I nodded perfunctorily, subtly pulling my hand away. Right, right. Auntie, what was that about an engagement? Justin and I are just like siblings. We never agreed to anything, so please don't play matchmaker. I blinked playfully, then looked at Justin, whose face was dark. Isn't that right? Justin, your green tea secretary is really terrifying. If I hadn't brought the recorder, I'd have been falsely accused by all of you, plotting against me even before we're engaged. How petty. I stomped my foot theatrically. Then I turned with a smile to look at Justin's mother again. Don't you agree? My sarcastic words made everyone fall silent. You thought you could bully me just because I was nice? Even nice people have their breaking point. I gave a barely audible scoff, then turned to take the hand of the man looking at me with doting eyes. Dear, did I do something wrong? Why do Auntie and Grandpa dislike me so much? I originally wanted to introduce my boyfriend to them. Kevin pulled me into his arms and kissed the top of my head. Then let's get away from these people. All right. Kevin looked up, his smile fading as he faced the old man. Since we're not welcome here, Selena and I won't disturb your birthday any longer. Goodbye. Without waiting for the Jiang family to respond, he held me and walked us out. Selena, wait. Justin finally called out, trying to stop me, but Kevin and I exchanged a smile, and neither of us stopped. Chapter 18. We returned home. As soon as we entered, Kevin pinned me against the door. Like a hungry wolf, he kissed my lips, urgently invading. My mind went blank as I tilted my head back to accept the man's overwhelming love. After what felt like an eternity, Kevin reluctantly pulled away, still pecking my lips softly. Selena, do you even know how beautiful you are? A little rabbit baring its teeth. How can it be so alluring? Tell me, did you cast some spell on me? I blushed and pushed him away. Maybe it was because he was half Italian. When he's serious, he looks like the classic domineering CEO. But when he's in love, he's passionately intense. But I really like it. This open and bold love is what I've always longed for. I wrapped my arms around Kevin's waist, burying myself in his embrace. Maybe it's because I have you behind me that I dare to be so bold. I'm inherently a vengeful, dark person, and now that I have someone backing me up, whoever provokes me, I'll bite them. Kevin's chest rumbled with laughter, and he hugged me even tighter. All right, if you can't bite them, I'll take over and do it for you. The next time I woke up, it was already noon. Groggily, I freshened up and went downstairs to find Kevin in the kitchen, wearing an apron and cooking. I watched as he skillfully cooked and chopped vegetables, and I wrapped my arms around his waist from behind. Did you sleep well? Good. Lunch will be ready soon. I was just about to peek at what he was making when I heard the doorbell ring. I ran from the kitchen to the door and opened it. To my surprise, it was Justin. I gently closed the door behind me and turned to meet his gaze. About yesterday. I'm sorry. Justin's voice was hoarse, and upon closer inspection, I could see dark circles under his eyes. Oh, I wasn't going to say it's okay. As the saying goes, if an apology were enough, why would we need the police? Anything else? I just wanted to go back and eat brunch. Yesterday, you and Kevin, was it just to spite me? The issues between us shouldn't involve outsiders, and Kevin is busy every day. Stop bothering him. It wasn't to spite you. Kevin is my boyfriend, not an outsider, he's family. I looked into his eyes, explaining seriously. Justin was stunned, then his eyes widened in disbelief. His voice grew louder. You and Kevin? Do you even know what you're doing? He's 3 years older than me. I shrugged. Yeah, he's 6 years older than me. It's not like it's 10 or 20 years, this age difference is pretty normal. Isn't it? He certainly doesn't treat me like a child. Justin still had that look of disbelief. Then he frowned and grabbed my arm. No way. I tried to break free, but couldn't. Why? Do you even know? Stop trying to drive a wedge between us. Let me go. Do you know that his entire family is abnormal? I stopped moving, a little stunned. What? Do you know Kevin's mom was driven to death by his dad? Kevin's dad was an obsessive control freak who kept his mom imprisoned at home for 10 years. She ended up with severe depression. One moment she was waving to Kevin from downstairs, and the next, she jumped off the building and died right in front of him. Kevin saw his mom die with his own eyes. His dad was a control freak. And so is he. Do you even know how ruthless his methods are? In Italy, those who betrayed him met terrible fates. How can you possibly? Justin's eyes were red as he shook my shoulders. I know. I smiled, looking down. I know, brother. I knew from the first time I met him. Chapter 19. What? Justin seemed unable to understand what I was saying. At first, he'd make decisions for me, what to eat for 3 meals, what to wear when going out, how to balance school and hobbies. Everything was arranged perfectly. Later, I had to report who I met, what time I'd be home at night. But isn't this exactly what I wanted? A control freak and a dependent personality, it's a perfect match. He won't resent me for being too clingy, and he doesn't think I'm weird for not having friends. When I lack initiative, he can make decisions for me. I removed Justin's hands from my shoulders. Brother, Kevin feels like my destined other half. In the past, I dreamed of having someone who would make me the center of their world, take care of me, love me, and give me enough security. Life is only a few decades long, and since I've found someone who's my perfect match, why should I struggle to change? Besides, I feel that we're both becoming better. He changed Selena must get up at 7 to Selena must sleep until she's well rested. He encourages me to do everything I want, even if I'm about to fall. He'll immediately pull me up from behind, and my reliance on him gives him a sense of belonging to this world. He's no longer that cold-hearted businessman who only cares about profit. He's no longer that madman who would self-harm in a frenzy and hide in the basement when things didn't go his way. We are each other's home. Thinking of this, I really want to go back to the room right now and give Kevin a hug. Justin, I used to cling to you too much and caused you a lot of trouble. I'd feel hurt and angry when you misunderstood me, but still, I'm grateful for the care you gave me when I was young. After watching Justin leave, I immediately opened the door. Kevin was standing less than 10 steps away, looking down at his phone. Hearing me open the door, he quickly raised his head and spread his arms with a smile. Kevin, I smiled, running into his embrace. What are you cooking? It smells so good. Shredded pork with green pepper. Kevin easily lifted me and started walking towards the dining room. Your last checkup showed anemia, so you need more iron. Ah, but I don't like green peppers. Nope. You have to eat at least one bite. I chopped them really finely and cooked them until they're soft. You won't even notice them mixed with the rice. All right. I'll eat a bit then. Good girl. Chapter 20. We weren't in a rush to return to Italy. With the mindset of since we're here, we traveled around the country. On a private racetrack in Haicheng, 2 cars, one black and one red, raced neck and neck. The wheels spun rapidly. The roar of engines echoed throughout the track. In the end, the black car had the edge, crossing the finish line 1 second ahead of the red car. After parking, a man and a woman got out of the driver's seats of the 2 cars. I won. Kevin leaned against the car door and beckoned to the driver of the red sports car. I threw myself into his arms, biting down on his exposed neck. I tasted the salty flavor of his sweat. Adrenaline was still rushing through me, making me excited. We kissed passionately. Next time we compete, I'll definitely beat you. You just got lucky this time. From now on, I'll work even harder. My opponent is too strong. Deal. We also attended a few auctions. Kevin was addicted to choosing the items he wanted, and then I'd bid to buy them for him, although I was using his money. In a private room at the bar. Bro, drink less. You're about to get alcohol poisoning. Eric snatched the bottle from Justin's hand, trying to wake up his drunk friend. Why? What? Eric leaned in closer to hear him. Why doesn't Selena come looking for her brother anymore? It's been a long time since she's pestered me to watch movies, read, or paint with her. None of those women are more beautiful than Selena, or more obedient than Selena. My secretary, yes. Lily. I fired her. She intentionally caused trouble and made Selena upset enough to leave the country. Selena. I regret it. Justin covered his face with both hands, tears seeping through his fingers. Eric lit a cigarette in frustration. As Justin's best friend, he'd always known Justin's feelings for Selena were more than just brotherly. But back then, even if he had pointed it out, Justin wouldn't have believed him, so he did his best to stop Justin from hurting Selena. Now, this is the outcome Justin brought on himself. People only realize how precious the things they took for granted are once they've lost them. Extra. In the early morning, Kevin watched his wife obsessively. 7 years of marriage, and Selena was becoming more and more charming. They explored new fields together, attended the same university to enjoy college life, and had a romantic campus love story. After graduating, they traveled and did charity work. They wrote down their stories from their journey. This time, they had been resting at their estate for 3 months, and next month they decided to go to Antarctica. They had many preparations to make. and he was enjoying every moment of it. After all these years, Selena had completely severed ties with her biological parents. It was said that they had divorced and each had their own new families. As for why her parents never loved her, Kevin thought, maybe it was no longer important to Selena. Some truths are not beautiful. So in their story, there was no need for answers from the past. Even if she knew, it wouldn't change the present. It would only add more troubles. As for Justin, his story was even more convoluted. Still a tangled mess. He married his former secretary, Lily. Unbelievable, right? Yes, very unbelievable. Back then, she drugged Justin when he was drunk. Afterwards, she ran off to the countryside. She gave birth to a boy, raising him until he was 5 before bringing him back. Under pressure from his parents, Justin registered the marriage with her, but it was just that, a marriage registration. After the marriage, Lily constantly funneled money to her family. Later, the Justin family found out that Lily had 3 brothers. They took advantage of being brothers-in-law of the boss and turned the company into chaos. But by then, it was too late for Justin's family to regret it. Apparently, they're now in the midst of a divorce. Lily is demanding an outrageous amount, determined to get half of the family fortune. Justin's mother somehow got hold of Selena's new phone number, but Kevin answered. After all, he had Selena's authorization as her social representative. No one was allowed to disrupt their lives. With that in mind, Kevin looked at the time. It was almost time for Selena to wake up. Today, they were going out for breakfast. He needed to pick out an outfit for Selena. It was wisteria season outside, so today they could wear matching purple outfits. Kevin leaned down to press a kiss to Selena's forehead. Good morning to a new day, my other half.